What's good, everybody? Welcome back to In Jammies with the Jam. I'm your boy Jam.
And I'm your boy Shaval. On tonight's episode, we're going to talk about how the banks have been keeping a secret from the American people.
Listen, every closed eye is not sleep.
Know this. It's all about the Benjamins, baby.
Let's talk about it.
When you're walking down the street and the show gets old, tune into this show. Jamming with Jam. Jamming with Jam. Jamming with Jam. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now, this is real serious. Stuff is happening undercover and nobody is really paying attention. They're distracted by all these reality shows. They're distracted by all these TV shows that takes your mind off of reality. For some reason, people are stuck in stupidity. And I don't get it. Stuck in stupidity, but yet the world around them is sinking fast. But nobody knows it. Nobody paying attention to it. And nobody really cares.
I'm not going to say that people don't care. What I'll say is that they're not aware. We have to remember that society is stuck in a place where it's all about tunnel vision. It's all about work, school, sleep, church. Those are the four major things that society deals with every day. So what happens is if we can keep the consumer or the American consumed with these things, having to work 2 and 3 jobs, no one's questioning why the price of food is going up. No one's questioning why their rent is going up. No one is questioning why these things that were just 2-3 years ago were at a low price. Things have skyrocketed. Why gas is so expensive in certain places, in certain states. And you know, the crazy part is gas all throughout the state. You go to different neighborhoods, the gas prices changes. No one is questioning why of those things because they're too boggled down with their affairs, and that's working, raising their children, going to school or church.
So
And even then, they don't have enough time for themselves. So because their mind doesn't have enough rest, they can't seem to function or to even grasp the things around them that are happening. Even if they were to see it on the news, it will not make sense with them. It will not register with them because their mind is so boggled on their everyday activities.
So is it safe to actually say that people have been trained to be robotic, and we're so robotic in our habits and our lifestyle
And
that if anything, thought process, and if anything that comes up against any of those things, it throws us out of whack. So do you think TV had something to do with that?
Yeah, we live in a trance. We live in a state of trance. We have to understand, again, in the last video I stated that Satan is the prince of the air. So we deal with frequencies. They said, you know, if you want to keep people blinded, well, niggers blinded, put it in a book. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So we as African Americans, or just people period in general, we have to do better. We're too stuck on music, television. We're not getting into reading. If we see anything of any sort outside of what they're pushing their agenda upon us, which is we're good to be athletes, musicians, preachers. Now they're saying that we can be teachers.
Professional con artists.
This is what we're going for. So we have to understand is that we have to wake up. And waking up is now putting ourselves in uncomfortable positions and wanting to know what's going on around us outside of church every Sunday. What's going on around us outside of our 9-to-5 job. What's going on around us outside of my son's school. Because all of those things is consuming us to a point where the things that are really happening that's truly affecting us, we can't even see what's affecting us because we're so boggled down by those things. So let's figure out why we can't afford food, why we can't afford childcare, why we can't afford rent, why we can't afford our baby school supplies, why we can't even, for those that tithe, why we can't tithe like we used to. What is keeping us from doing those things that have given us some sense of peace?
Well, scriptures always said that the love of money is the root of all evil. It doesn't say having money is the root of all evil, but the love of money is the root of all evil. So money makes this world go round, whether you like it or not, whether you understand it or not,
or whether you agree to it or not.
it's all about the dollar. You're irrelevant. You yourself have a price tag on your head.
At the Federal Reserve Bank.
You'll be surprised. You're worth over $1 million. The more you keep living, the more you keep working, just proves how much you're really worth.
So we went from slavery to modern day slavery, and now you have a price tag over your head. So what happened 2 weeks ago is that the
wonderful financial institution that we invest our lives in, our 401s, Social Security, our paychecks, our in all kinds of assets and liability and stocks. Guess what? The banks ran out of money.
They have no money, and what they've been doing is borrowing money from the Federal Reserve Bank. And in doing that, because the banks have no money, well, let's go back to how it started. In 2008, when Obama was in office, the Republican Party decided that they wanted to take the money in the Federal Reserve Bank and put it into offshore accounts. And with doing that, no one, first off, the Republican Party did not expect Obama to be in office for 8 years. And with doing that, you don't pay tax, but you pay interest on money. So because he was, trillions of dollars were put into these accounts, because he was in office for 8 years.
We accumulated 8 years worth of interest. So now we get our favorite president in office,
Donald Trump.
So in order to make sure that the Republicans weren't biased, they took the money out of their offshore accounts,
brought them back into the American Reserve Banks, and with doing that, they paid lots and lots of interest on that money.
Now, the banks themselves, at the end of the day, do not have the financial responsibilities that's needed to complete their day. So what happens here is, if one bank is lacking, they will go around to their brothers or their sister branches or banks and try to borrow money so that they can take care of what they need for that day and then pay back their fellow bankers. Now, the problem with this is this. Not just one bank couldn't afford their day of expenses. A whole lot of banks.
So an example, we'll give it to you in this form for those who may not understand it in the way he was explaining it. I am JPmorgan&chase Bank. He's Bank of America. And for the audience who's watching, you are Wells Fargo. And what happens is at the end of your business day, you will contact me for a loan to keep your bank fluid.
And keep your books afloat.
So because of that, if you don't have it and I don't have it because the country is in thousands of trillions of dollars of debt, what happens is now what they call the discount window. Because I can't give it to you and he can't give it to you, you have to go to the discount window. That means...
But it's not that we don't want to give it to you.
We don't have it to give to you.
Because if we give it to you, there's no guarantee
that you're going to be able to give us our money back.
Because you might just decide to cry bankrupt like the Lehman Brothers done.
That was a horrible situation. So because of that, you're now going to the discount window, which is the Federal Reserve Bank. Now, because the Federal Reserve Bank knows that we're $1 trillion and trillions of dollars in debt, the interest rate on a loan went from 2% to 10%. Could you imagine taking out, let's just say, $62 million and have to pay 10% interest on that loan? Now, because of that, you're taking this money and can't pay us back. Well, you can't pay the Federal Reserve Bank back.
And mind you, this wasn't just one day. This was consecutive days.
Day after day after day after day.
For about a week. Now, my question is, where is the Federal Reserve getting this money from to give to these banks day after day after day? Maybe you need to check your bank account.
It's even bad that the military don't even have the money to repair their equipment. It's sad that America is as vulnerable and as broke as it is, and we're supposed to be one of the most powerful countries. It's disheartening.
It's very, you know the old motto, the grass is always greener on the other side. You give this impression that you're the best, but at the end of the day, you're really worse. And what we don't realize is this: we're being taken advantage of. And we're kept in the dark because these great powers want to keep you enslaved to the system and this fictitious thought pattern of achieving the American dream. But there is no dream to achieve. It's nothing but a nightmare.
First off, we don't live in dreams, we live in reality. So what dream is there that you can achieve? We don't live in a dream, we live in reality. The American dream was never built for us to ever achieve. It was built for the 1% to achieve and for us to chase that we can continue to be in debt. That is what they always have done, and that is what it will always be, unless you decide and wake up and choose not to continue to run what they consider to be a rat race. The rat race was only designed to keep you bound and keep you in a place where you will never be successful. It is a few people who wake up and say, I am not a part of the system, and I will do what I'm supposed to do as a being so that I can be successful in the kingdom. We're coming into a time now with all of this, and I'm forewarning you that this is only a setup to put this country in a place of socialism. We are in a capitalistic country, and when we become a socialistic country, excuse me, we will then have to begin to depend on one another.
And how can we depend on one another when we're already backstabbing one another?
Let me go ahead and give you a prime example of what it is to be a socialistic country. Has anybody seen the Hunger Games? The Hunger Games is a prime example of what it is to actually live as a socialistic country, where we're depending on each other, where you guys will begin to live with your families, packed 50 people to 1-bedroom apartments, 20 people to 3-bedroom apartments. It is going to be, that bad, because when the economy crashes, because it will, we're coming into a place now where they're keeping you blinded. We just seen read a report and seen an actual video on in India that the banks were keeping the people from withdrawing their money. Why? Because the Federal Bank of India went bankrupt. I'm sorry, PNC, which is a bank in India, went bankrupt. They realized that they had 21 accounts of fraudulent loans that they put out for millions of dollars that were not even on their books, and they went bankrupt. This is just what we see happening on the other side of this world. Things are happening here. We have to come to the place where we begin to understand that we are at war, not with our family or our friends, but with the government. We are at war with the higher ups because they are going to continue to keep you bound until you make the decision to wake up.
Yes, because you're only a rat in a cage on a wheel chasing after cheese that you can never catch. Never catch. Why? Because there is a spirit that's influencing 7 kingdoms.
Oh, we're talking about Revelations.
Mm-hmm. There's 7 kingdoms that's being influenced by a spirit of greed and perverse hunger.
And confusion. Think about how we are living in a time of chaos, which is confusion. We're living in a place of perverse. Perverse is not anything sexual. Perverse is just wicked. Anything that pollutes the mind of the people. Understand why they have built up every major city? Because when martial law takes effect, we will not be able to leave where we live. I am telling y'all today, this is not something for you to take lightly. If you can, take your money out of the banks and store your money somewhere in your home in a safe, please do so. We are coming into a very, very, very dangerous time.
There will be a famine in which you have never seen before.
World War Z was not a joke. When the famine hit the earth, when people were chaotically running through supermarkets trying to grab whatever they could. Let me explain to y'all, it's going to come to a point where you're not going to be able to buy food because there will be no food on the shelves. And what's going to happen is it's going to be all man for themselves. Hear me and hear me clearly. Why do you think they're trying to ban guns? And they're trying to take your right to bear arms? Because they do not want bloodshed throughout this country because of a silly deed that they made, a decision that they made. Let me tell you something. They think they're going to get away with it, but it's going to backfire, and it's going to affect the American people in a way that we've never seen it before. You thought 1930 and reading in the history books that 1930s depression was the worst? You wait till it's this time. This time, it will be at its all-time worst.
Be ready, for the time is at hand. Woe unto you who cry peace, and there isn't any. For it will be father against son, mother against daughter. There will be no peace, but war. War. What are you going to do when sickness rage on? What are you going to do when there is no money to buy anything? Merchants can't buy. When the wealthy will just sit and they try to escape this while you yet plunder. What are you going to do? Where you're going to turn? Who you're going to call? Because the church is not delivering this message. The church is not preaching this. The church is keeping you in the fairy tales of the stories of the folklores of the Bible. The church is not building you up, preparing you for war. The church been preaching the last days all their life, but the church has never prepared you for it, because the church itself has went into a trance and it had fell under the unction of a Kanye West. The church has been fooled. The church has been bedazzled. And the church is the only institution in the community where the people will run to. If I can blind the church, the people have no hope. They have no support. Where can they go? You have to wake up. You have to wake up. You have to wake up. You've been sleeping too long. Arise, for the light has come.
Ladies and gentlemen, I truly want you guys to understand, this is not a joke. This era and what we valued for so long, it's coming to an end. It's coming to an end. Hear God for yourself. God has given us all wisdom, and use it. It is time we come out of the dark and into the light, and we begin to realize that we've been asleep. So everyone under the sound of my voice, listening to this, watching this, I declare in the name of Jesus that you be awoke. I decree and I declare revelations like never before. That God's Spirit will overtake you. That you will be awoke in this season to the very trick, sly, and working of the enemy. I pray today, and I release God's angels over you right now. In the name of Jesus.
Are you ready for it? Prepare yourself for it. Because the time is coming. Be ready.
I don't mind waiting. I just hear it in my spirit. I don't mind waiting. I just hear it. I don't mind waiting on you, Lord. I don't mind waiting. I don't mind waiting. I don't mind waiting on you, Lord.
This is In Jammies with Jam. Wake up.
I don't mind waiting. I don't mind waiting. I don't mind waiting on you, Lord. I don't mind waiting. I don't mind waiting.
See you next time.
When you're walking down the street, and the show gets old, tune into this show, Jamming with Jam, Jamming with Jam, Jamming with Jam.